Hi ho everybody and welcome back to D Plus Us Weekly, the show where we talk about a show that's exclusive to Disney Plus, episode by episode and week by week for our enjoyment and yours. I'm your host, Griffin Tennell, and with me as always is wonderful, the amazing Mr. Mitch George, who I fear I might have put down a god-awful rabbit hole. Mitch, how are you doing?
Okay, it was mostly post-production shots. Neat.
We were talking before recording about films filmed in
Something
Toronto.
totally unrelated to this.
We were talking about Nosferatu, which is very much not related to Star Wars at all.
We talked about The Incredible Hulk. That's Disney, at least.
And a bad one. Anyways, folks, we're here to talk today.
It's not bad. Okay.
You
know what?
Can I do the intro?
We're doing an episode on that movie. Go.
Fair enough. I will allow that. Anyways, folks, hi, what's up? How's it going? Welcome to D Plus Us Weekly, where we're talking about Disney Plus exclusive shows. Today, episode is about Andor Season 2, episodes 4 through 6. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. If you are listening to this day of recording, yeah, we're putting this up the day episodes 7 through 9 drop. But you know what? 3 episodes a week is hard.
I have a child.
I'm
going to end this recording and go and watch at least 2 of them, okay? I'm going to be on the ball for the next recording. So if it's late, it's still probably my fault.
Or mine, because I am also...
No, it's probably mine.
Yeah, sorry, folks. We're getting to these as quickly as we can. But we also released so much lately. We have 2 new episodes of the regular show that are available right now. First of those being our Thunderbolts review. Thunderbolts is a fantastic MCU film, and it's absolutely worth your time. So go watch it, and then check out our review of the film. If you have somehow not gotten spoiled by their marketing campaigns.
Yeah, I mean, Stitch is just running wild on all of their marketing materials.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about the movie because I want to just spend like a portion of it just talking about the marketing for it because the marketing for that movie has been so good.
It's been on point.
But the other episode we got is that I got to take a trip to Epic Universe,
which isn't Disney,
but it is theme park related, and we're trying to do more theme park content.
I could go to Cedar Point one weekend. Our Center Island.
Look, how rare is it?
I would love to do a theme park episode on what failed about Toronto Center Island. That would be fun.
That would be fun.
It has nothing to do with Disney.
I think we could step out of it for theme park stuff.
Whatever you want, man.
Hey, it would be fun. Yeah, folks, I got to spend a day for pass holder previews at Epic Universe. We did almost everything in the park, and there is a review of almost everything in the park in that episode. So go check it out and see how Epic Universe has changed my life. Quite literally.
A theme park.
It's a good tagline. What can I say? So yeah, go check those out. Those are up both on podcast services and YouTube. YouTube, I think, is the best place to see those, though, because there is visual-specific content to some of that. So go check those out. The last bit of rigmarole for you is, hey, we're back to posting stuff on TikTok. I'm back to editing things. We will probably be doing more park-specific stuff on TikTok, because that is something I can very easily do now. So if you guys...
why don't you?
If that's something folks want to see, please let us know what kinds of stuff to show. We're figuring it out, doing day at the parks, pin stuff, still trying to figure out what is the best to do, and also, very frankly, what is not cost prohibitive.
What is the most fun for Griffin?
Dude, I see these people that are like every day opening one of the blind boxes of pins. And those boxes are like $30.
They are, but a lot of those people, since it is their livelihood, are writing all of that shit off for tax purposes.
I know. It's still like just logistically upsets me. Anyways, upsets aside, let's talk about Andor. Episode 4, Ever Been to Gorman. Episode 5, I Have Friends Everywhere. And Episode 6, What a Festive Evening. Mitch, feels like we got a lot of setup this week.
It felt like I was really bored by the end of these 3 episodes.
Yeah, I don't think these 3 episodes had nearly as much punch as the first 3 do. But
the first 3 have a great hook.
I still really love these 3 episodes.
I was very like, we're just gonna kind of jump between all three, right? We're not really gonna
Yeah.
break them down episode by episode. So I really love, like, there was a sense of unease during all of the Gorman scenes. Just like, is there going to be the time where Cyril and Cass cross paths? And by the end of these three episodes, they don't. But it does feel like we're building to that, which I think is going to be really interesting to see unfold in the next couple of weeks.
I think we're finally also, it's the idea of setting up Gorman in this situation, right? Like, Gorman is an extremely important location when it comes to the rebellion.
Yeah.
Little bit of Star Wars nerd lore for y'all folks, and I'm sure it's something we will be talking about on next week's episode. Or I guess next episode drops episode because of timing.
It'll be sooner than that, I hope.
The Gorman massacre, I think is what it was called, is the tip off point to the rebellion. It is the part where the rebellion kind of starts becoming a more substantial thing. It leads into Mon Mothma's speech and leaving the Senate. It leads into all of these different things for the rebellion. So it makes sense that it's something that's going to be touched on here. And I got to imagine that it is just around the corner. Seeing everything with Gorman very much felt akin to some of the stuff in season 1 on Ferrix, of seeing them crossing that tipping point, with like the armory being built over this monument from Tarkin being an asshole, like, and seeing that and having like when Cass gets there and is asking questions to the bellhop and learning about this and like how deeply these events have destroyed Gorman and their society, and they just want to fight back, seeing a very different version of a scattered rebellion to what we got in those first 3 episodes, but still a scattered rebellion nonetheless, and for their unease and their eagerness to lead to the death of Cinta. I thought all of it just really plays well together, and I can't wait to see how it blows up.
Yeah, and I think it's really great that they're using something that's already ingrained in the Star Wars lore to set this up. Because as someone who went into Rogue One not knowing a lot about the happenings in the, I would say, the events leading up to Episode 4, like, I knew a lot about the prequels and the Clone Wars, but like that period of time is very not familiar to me. So like they end up on Scarif, I'm just like, okay, what? But at least with Gorman, there's a bit of lore there that allows you to feel a little more invested in something we're not. Like, what's nice here is you're getting more time to set that up, whereas you didn't get all of that set up in Rogue One, which is why I think Andor has worked so well as a weekly production or as an episodic television series. Although, like, Rogue One for me is probably the second best Star Wars film.
We still need to do that episode where we're talking about Star Wars rankings.
Yeah, like, for me, that top 3 is so fluid between Empire, Rogue One, and The Last Jedi. So it's really hard to settle on a real ranking week to week. Mm-hmm. Rogue One or Last Jedi, best movie to come out post Episode 6 in timeline order. Fight me.
So I think most of the Star Wars that I love is TV shows. So I'm just like, yeah, okay.
Not much else there. No, I mean, I kid. I think my top 3 is like, it's Empire, Jedi, and Rogue One in any order, any given day of the week. But
yeah, I need to sit down and like properly write
settles
right
on
now.
number 2.
Yeah, I think
somewhere stashed away.
Mm-hmm. This was definitely interesting from a lot of standpoints. Mon Mothma kind of taking a back seat this week compared to last week, and us getting brain farting, big time. Us getting Saw back very much felt weird and like it's building to something, but
it's building to Rogue One.
I mean, obviously, eventually, but if Saw has to build to something in this show,
nah. I hope he does, and that stuff has a payoff. I worry it won't, because I'm just thinking back to Rogue One, and I can't remember the name of the planet they're on that's being mined before they end up on Scarif, but like, It does. It feels like he's in a cave with a box of scraps now, and we find him in Rogue One in a cave with a box of scraps. So don't know
Well,
how
so
much is
he's
going to happen
always been
between
in a
now and
cave in
then.
a box. He's always been in a cave with a box full of scraps. Ever since he
I
was introduced in Clone Wars, that is his vibe. He is the guerrilla fighter. Like, that's all he knows how to do. And it was interesting seeing some of that, but I think it's ultimately going to end up disappointing in the way that Saw always does. I think Saw Gerrera is this character who should be endlessly fascinating, right? This guerrilla fighter trained by Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi. And he's just
before I move
not.
too far, Jeddah. Jeddah was the name of the planet. They were mining the Kyber
Jeddah.
from there, and then they kind of like blew it.
It go boom. Test shot.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I am not interested in any of this part. The only reason that I was interested is not the best word, but it's the only way I can think of at the moment. In watching that stuff was because I was worried that they were going to kill Willman.
They killed someone.
Yeah, they killed the other dude because he was evil.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there isn't a lot in these 3 episodes. Like, if we weren't doing this weekly, I don't think like these episodes are where I would have dropped off and just come back to it when the full season was out and just binged it because I was like midway through episode 5. I'm like, I just don't really care.
That's fair.
Um,
I think
I
that these play to my enjoyment of the slower side of Andor, of
well that I was
seeing the machinations of the
yeah.
Empire being the Empire and seeing the rebellion. Very frankly, in these 3 episodes, flounder under it and try and almost have themselves exposed and trying to get their shit together.
The thing is, like, I say that I do really love seeing Andor undercover and the fun that Diego Luna has with that change in character, is a change in persona. He basically pulls a Superman, right? Where he puts on the cape, combs his hair, and he's an entirely different person, different presence about him as he moves around Gorman. Really, really well done. I really love seeing him chameleon himself into that role of, I don't remember the name that he was using. Um, and then the other thing I really like is the heist. And the reason I like the heist is because we as the audience know that the heist is partially staged, right? Like the Empire is allowing the heist to occur. So all of the incurred damages from the heist are entirely self-imposed, and any damages are even like the Empire's expectation is this heist will happen and it gives them the ammunition to do whatever they're going to do in the next set of episodes. Presumably just take control of the planet and
And do
rebellion
their
and
mining that they
everything
want
falls
to do
apart.
for the Death Star. Yeah.
Exactly. But the fact that there are also casualties as part of that is kind of just the, you know, cherry on top for the Empire. Like they didn't need that to happen. It's all a self-inflicted wound on the rebellion side. They don't know that. And they're going through this and the stakes are really high for them. But us as the audience, we do know that there's these machinations on the Empire side, which is, again, to your point, I like the layers it adds there towards the end of that 3rd episode. And then as well, the death of Dr. What's his fuck.
Gorst.
Was nice to see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Gorst leads into something that I was initially confused and I kind of did some watching back and like actually really liked of these 3 episodes of this kind of story with Cassian and Bix. We had this in the first 3 episodes, but Bix still very much getting over her and learning to live with her trauma from season 1. Her moment of killing Gorst was fantastic. I love
Yeah.
this scene. I love that Gorst doesn't remember her. Like for her, this was the most traumatizing event of her life. For him, it was Tuesday.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. He's a terrible human being, and
I
he
think it
deserved
really
everything he
does.
got.
It speaks so well to the evils of the Empire, in a very similar way to like what happened to her in episode 3 did, where it
Yeah.
was like they didn't even question it. They were just like, "Nah, you evil, and we're gonna kill you now." After that, like all of that, playing with that, and then Cass's full willingness to just say, "Nah, fuck the rebellion, fuck Luthen, just protect Bix." Like I love this relationship so much. It is going to be absolutely heart wrenching when something happens to Bix.
Yeah. The challenge here is it felt to me like everything with Dr. Gorst happened way too cleanly, I think is probably the most accurate word to the way I felt about this, because I guess it does go to show the evolution of the characters, because it's been a year from the events on the farm. But at the same time, that was so traumatic as an audience member, let alone what Bix had to go through, that granted the time jump I think allows them to play more with the character's development, but it did kind of feel like it was a little too easy, especially with all the trauma that she suffered.
So I'm
Like,
assuming that that's what the weapon appraisal was taking him.
mm,
And
yeah, yeah, I
that
can see that.
playing with that, her conversation with Luthen and Luthen like actually kind of helping her, which
Yeah,
was surprising to me. And all of that playing all together, I think, is what made me feel like leading into that really worked. For me, it was more of it's seeing her and Cass work, and like they are leaving Coruscant after that. They are out of there. So everything with Luthen blows up like right before that between them because Cass shows up at the shop to yell at
yeah.
him about going to Bix without him. Like, I think it works, but I do think that it adds to the slow nature of these 3 episodes. But
I
mark
mean,
my
to be
words,
fair,
like,
I was probably 3/4 asleep watching all three of these episodes, so I probably missed a few moments of um, exposition
fair.
through these. So
Mark my words,
that's more
though.
on me.
If these 3 episodes are slow, which again they are very slow, but I think that is a good thing. Um, 7, 8, 9 are going to be fucking insane. Like,
I don't think we're ready for this, Griffin. I don't think we're ready for the second half of the season, because things slow down, and I feel like it's going to ramp up. Like similarly to season one, it will ramp to 11 and just not come back down.
mhm. It is kind of wild to me that we're in this position after these 3 episodes, though, that we're already halfway through the show.
I kind of like it.
It just
It
feels
didn't need
weird
to
with
stretch
this.
out for 12 weeks, like especially with the episodes that we've gotten. Q Magnets are dropping weekly.
Oh my god, yeah, that would be a struggle.
Yeah,
I think the nature of this show, and I think this was something that season 1 really struggled with, is the nature of this show means that you're going to have extremely slow episodes that
yeah,
will, if you're releasing weekly, cause people to drop off.
yeah. I mean, like I said, even like if I wasn't watching this for this, I would have dropped off after this set of episodes.
Yeah, like
So I could only even imagine the drop off had it been fully weekly,
I've talked with my parents multiple times about season 1, and they hate it because of how slow it is. And I
which
can,
is interesting because now you can just binge it.
yeah, like I can understand why people have those feelings about it, and I can understand why people have those feelings about this week's episodes. But I think it really does play well into that, and I cannot wait to see what comes next. That said, there is very little for us to actually talk about because everything is kind of at the beginnings of its shit. Gorman
And
is
also
cool.
those episodes are out now, and we can just watch them.
Yeah. I do like that everything is playing well right into Deidre.
Yeah,
Deidre's hand here with all of this. Deidre kind of embracing her position within this Gorman stuff now, as opposed to those first 3 episodes where she was conflicted. She's going full fascist, and I like to see
yeah.
that.
I think part of that too is even with her going that route. Again, the problem I have with prequels, there are
There are
3 characters that make it out of this show.
again, as far as you know.
Well, that we have seen in the events of Rogue One, or I think they all died in Rogue One. So,
Yeah, everyone dies in Rogue
I,
One.
well, no, I'm thinking like Ben Mendelsohn's character.
I mean, I think he's here because he has to be for part of the story, but I think we have so
No, no,
many
no, no.
unknowns.
I'm thinking like he's one of the 3 that makes it through to that movie. Is what I was saying.
Oh yeah,
Like
him,
we don't know the
Cass.
fates of the other characters, and that's interesting because I'm curious to see where they end up. But I also, again, similarly to how I felt with Rogue One, I wouldn't be surprised if those 3 characters are the only 3 that make it through to that, or 4, I guess, because we'll get K2SO at some point. Those will be the only ones that make it through to the events of Rogue One.
Yeah, I think those of like the main like rebels. Yes, obviously Mon Mothma's here to stay for a while. Like,
Oh, right, Mon Mothma. That was the one I was forgetting.
I think the big question mark for me is Luthen.
Mm.
Um, I don't know how things for Luthen are going to play out, but
I
I
don't think
think
it makes
that
sense.
even despite that, I think we're at a bigger stage here than matters for whether or not these individual characters are making it through. I think we see that a lot with a lot of like Luthen's decision making and his monologues and stuff. Of they are playing so much more of a bigger game on whether or not individual people die,
Oh yeah, the individual isn't what matters here; it's the cause.
and it's
Yeah,
fascinating to see that play out into like the actual design choices of the show.
yeah,
Of like, yeah, we can kill off these characters because that's not what matters. And
yeah.
I am of the opinion that like even though, Cassian, Mon Mothma, who was the other one we said?
Uh, Ben
Ben
Mendelsohn.
Mendelsohn's character. Like, yeah, they got plot armor,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that you can't take away from them.
Well, I was gonna say they're not invincible. We know Andor is gonna lose more before the end of the show.
And I bet you Mon Mothma is as well. And then at
Yes.
the same time, we're building Ben Mendelsohn's character up to where he's going to be in Rogue One. So I think that these
Mhm.
all kind of play well. And yeah, this is a prequel, and there are those associated issues with it, but I think it's going to build into something dope.
Can't wait to see what that is.
Yeah, which we will see here shortly when we
As
talk
soon
about the next 3 episodes.
as soon as you and I stop recording, and I go watch at least one because I'm off work tomorrow, so I can stay up a little later.
What's funny is I'm literally going to go finish up some meal prep and turn on episode 7.
All right, well, text me because I'll probably be halfway through it, or I will fall asleep and not see your text until the morning, and you'll spoil something you shouldn't have, and then I'll be upset and quit the podcast.
I'll tell you exactly what the text is probably going to be. It's going to be something along the lines of "oh shit." That's always what my message to you is when I watch this stuff.
You're not wrong.
Anyways, folks, that's where we are going to wrap up this episode. Not the most exciting one in terms of content, but I cannot wait for next week's. So stay tuned for that. We will be back then, but until then, be good to each other and have a magical day.
They're making more gargoyles?